Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about meals that you can feed your family for under $10. A lot of them are actually even under $5. All right, so these are all meals that we eat. So they're good, or at least we think they're good. They're actual meals we eat. They're not too difficult to cook because I am not an excellent cook by any means. And this feeds my family of 6. If sometimes I might make it a little bit bigger of a portion if I want to be sure to have a little bit of leftovers for maybe like the next day for lunch, or if I feel like everyone's just extra hungry, I might add an extra thing of beans or something like that to kind of make it go a little further. But for the most part, this is what we do, and these meals are so cheap but so good, you guys. All right, so let's get started. All right, so the first one is red beans and rice. And I meant to take pictures of all these foods as we were eating them, and dinner time always just gets really full really quick and my hands are busy and I totally forget to even pull my phone out. So I am sorry I did not get photos of our actual meals we're eating. I will try and find some photos of these meals online though to insert just so you have an idea. I'm assuming you'll probably know what most of these are though. But yes, red beans and rice. You can do red beans and rice for $2.24. That is right. You can have a whole meal for $2.24 and that'll feed your entire family. Now, this is without the meat. This is with rice, red beans, some beef broth, and you can use onion, you can use garlic, you can use whatever seasonings you want to. If you already actually have an onion, then you can chop that up and add that in there. Now, if you want to make it a little bit more expensive, for $6.42, you can add in sausage, which this is what I actually like to do. I like to add sausage to my red beans and rice. So for $6.42, you can have red beans and rice with a meat, and it's very good. We love red beans and rice, and it is a very filling meal. All right, so the next meal I want to talk about is black bean taquitos, and these are really good. And here's a trick with these is the onion. If you decided to use an actual onion and not just like onion salt for the black beans and rice, you only use half of it or a little bit of it for the red beans and rice, and then use the rest of it for the black bean taquitos. That'll help stretch it, and instead of having to buy 2, you only had to buy 1. And I feel like it still adds plenty of flavor to both of these meals. Now, these black bean taquitos come in at $4.39. So this meal is super simple as well. You just take some black beans, you boil them in some beef broth. At least that's what I chose to do. You could just use water if you really wanted to make it cheaper, but I do feel like the beef broth adds a lot of flavor to it. So if you can afford adding in that $1.30 something for beef broth, I would recommend doing it. So yes, you boil the black beans in the beef broth, and if you're going to use the onions, boil the onions, and whatever seasonings you want to use. Again, you could throw in some paprika, you could throw in some garlic, you can kind of experiment with them. And I'll try and leave recipes down below if I can find these on Pinterest. That they're not necessarily the recipes I use. I kind of take recipes I find on Pinterest and make them my own. But that'll give you an idea as maybe where to start. I'll try and find that. Or I guess I could just list out mine. All right, so then you take the black beans that you have boiled and the onions and you smash it up so it's kind of like mushy, and then you'll spoon it into tortilla shells, roll them up, and you bake them for a little while. Now, I did not add this into my price, and I probably should have, but then once they're done, they are really good to dip in something. We dipped ours in salsa. You could dip it in guacamole. You could make, I don't know, whatever kind of sauce you would want. I really liked it in the salsa, and you can make your own salsa. You can buy a can of salsa. Maybe you already have some salsa just sitting in the fridge. But yes, so go ahead and dip it in something if you want, but I guess you don't have to. It might be a little dry though without. All right, so then let's do spaghetti. Spaghetti comes in at $2.12 without meat. If you want to add ground beef, it brings that meal up to $7.35. That is just buying ground beef at like a grocery store. If you happen to already have ground beef or turkey, or maybe you hunt and you have deer meat, you can add any kind of meat you want in there, or no meat at all. I actually do spaghetti without meat most of the time. I pretty much only will use meat. Actually, if we had done tacos and I have leftover taco meat, I will add the leftover taco meat to my spaghetti. But usually when I do spaghetti, I just do sauce and noodles, which comes in at $2.12. You really can't get much cheaper than that. And it may not be my favorite meal, but it's not bad. Really can't go wrong with spaghetti. Almost everyone will eat it, even if they don't love it. So yes, spaghetti is a really good meal to do cheap. And that is just buying a box of noodles and a can or jar of sauce. You could always make your own if you have stuff from the garden. There's lots of opportunity there to make it your own and add stuff and take away. But just doing a simple spaghetti is what I did there for $2. All right, then we have egg roll in a bowl. And this is a new meal to us, but I have loved it. And this meal comes in at $4.30. So egg roll in a bowl is pretty simple. Again, you can use stuff from your garden if you wanted to, but if you don't have a garden or you don't have all the stuff you needed growing in your garden, you can just buy one of those bags of cabbage mix at the store, which is not very much money. They're about $1.98, I think. And then your only other ingredient you need really is sausage, which came in at about $2.32. Now this meal is one that, again, you don't have to use sausage. You could use chicken, you could use beef, you could use whatever meat you wanted. I would recommend using a meat with this one though. If you take the meat out, it's really missing something. It just really needs that flavor of a meat. Now, a way you could do it is if you really like ground beef in your spaghetti, you could split that pound of hamburger meat and do half with the spaghetti and half with the egg roll in a bowl. And that would help cut down on some cost there if you really needed to. But I feel like for $4.30, it is not a bad meal price at all. Now, egg roll in a bowl is super simple. Take a cooking oil. I like to use olive oil or coconut oil, and you just put some in the pan and you throw in the cabbage mix and you just kind of heat it up and get it coated. And then you add in the sausage, which I cook before I put it in. So cook the sausage and then add it in there and you just mix it up and it's done. There might be, I think I added a few other seasonings to it. I can't quite remember. I'll be sure to try and link a recipe down below for you guys so you can look it up and then feel free to tailor it to your own. Again, we're trying to be cheap here, so if you don't have all the seasonings that you need in your seasoning cabinet, maybe just don't use it. Or if you think it's a seasoning that you'll use often, go ahead and purchase it. And I did not add in seasonings or oils in any of these prices because I'm assuming you probably already have a pantry that's somewhat stocked with the basics of what you need. Okay, so now these next two meals come in a little bit more expensive. One comes in at $10, which you could do without meat, which would make it $6. And the other one comes in at $15 with meat or $6.53 without the meat. So these are a little bit more money, but if you do those other really cheap ones for like $2, you can splurge a little on one meal a week that has a really good meat in it that's gonna cost a little bit more. So let's go ahead and go over these two. So spicy sausage pasta. This is another favorite of ours. And if you do not put the meat in, the sausage, it is $6.07. And it is very good without the meat. The meat does add an extra zing to it that I really like, but I have made it without the sausage before and it is still very tasty. And this is also a really easy meal to make. If you're going to be making it with the sausage, you put in a cooking oil, you brown your sausage, then you're going to add in Rotel chicken broth, heavy whipping cream, and noodles. And then you just cover the pot and let it all simmer until the noodles are ready. And that's pretty much it. Now, if you have cheese, which I did not add cheese into this pricing because again, cheese is something that a lot of us just tend to have maybe in the fridge. So if you have cheese, you can always top it with a little bit of cheese. If you do not have cheese, it still tastes good without the cheese. So you don't have to have cheese for this meal, but it is yummy with some cheese on top. But I've done it both ways and it's fine. Okay, so then the other one is beef tips and Polynesian noodles. This is kind of just the name I have given it. I was inspired by these noodles that you get at a restaurant at Disney World at the Polynesian restaurant, and so, or Ohana, which is at the Polynesian resort. Anyway, I love, love, love these noodles, and so I found a recipe that tastes similar to the ones they make, and so my family has just named these the Polynesian noodles. I don't know what their real name would be, but that is what we call them, and they're really good. And if you do just the noodles, it's only about $6.53, which seems a little high for a pasta, but it's because I did add in, and you might have some of these ingredients so it could be cheaper for you. You need brown sugar and soy sauce, chicken broth, and then the meat is really what it gets you. The beef tip is $8.60 on its own, or at least that is what it's selling for right now at my store. You know how meat goes. It could be different tomorrow, but that is what it's selling for right now, today, when I just looked. It's a pretty easy meal to make. You just put the stuff all in the pan and you just kind of cook it until it's all ready. Now the noodles I do boil beforehand and then add them once they're already almost done, but not quite done. And that's kind of a trick there. Some of that stuff you may already have, so it would help bring the cost down. Like if you already have brown sugar, if you already have soy sauce, that's gonna help. And then another trick is if you want to do these Polynesian noodles and the spicy sausage pasta in the same week, which you may not because it's two pastas and I've already listed spaghetti on here. But if you were going to do them, or at least semi-close together, I guess you could do them in different weeks, but you know, a few days apart. They both have some similar ingredients. So it would be easy, instead of buying a smaller chicken broth, buy a big chicken broth and then use half of it for one meal and half for the other meal. So there's some ways you can make your ingredients stretch to work for more than the one meal. But that is it, guys. I hope that was helpful. I hope that gave you some dinner ideas. It's so hard to find dinners that'll feed a large family that everyone actually wants to eat, that doesn't break the bank. So these are my meals that we like to go to when I want something cheap. And yes, especially those first few, they were all under $5 and you really can't beat that. So let me know, what are some cheap meals that you enjoy eating for your family? And I will see you all in my next video. Bye.